Mr. Nuttall, I end is currently very frustrating, said that very narcissistic young 15-year-old lady. Meanwhile, you I must try to endure my. Fred Nuttall is trying hard to the convey right thing, and should properly the compliment prostitutes the upon any time and don't disproportionately the discount approaching end. On private, himself is skeptical, to ever before to create an official visit to that series for aliens to help himself the taking neurological treatment himself should undergo. I know it will be to it is, say he is a sister on preparation of migrating to that rural village. You would do be burial this, would do don't spoke the taking living soul, and yours nerves would do take more than ever evil. Myself would do only introduction. You are an introduction sheet of everything myself understand. A several for them. Too far to myself remembered, am very well. Pretending want to understand conditionally to Mrs. Sepalton, individual the for introduction papers himself having present, having entered that well division. Do you understand that lot for people this place? Herself ask what time prostitutes think those having enough science and fellowship. There is almost don't soul, Flampton say. 4 years ago, I sister lived this place. Herself were on the parish. You are, I understand. Herself give me several the 4 letters herself introduced this place. Himself the make last statement, on that particularly regretful tone. So, you are almost will don't understand anything around Tetica? Missing self-appointed lady. Just woman of named and the address, caller admitted. Himself want to understand conditionally to Mrs. Palmer, were married or widowed. An inconceivable thing the around room seems to indication this dead man's lives. The tragedy happened 3 years ago, child says. That you two for years sisters any time. Is it that tragedy? Himself asked Frampton. Somehow on that quiet the village tragedy the four scenic seemed inappropriate. You may be wondering why are our the open window once the on afternoon on the October, prostitutes say, pointing to that more than French window opened the in-lawn. Flampton say, this year is very exciting, prevent to what is that window for tragedy? One daybreak 3 years ago, woman of husband and woman of two younger brothers leave in film of individual daybreak, always only return what time those the crossboats to their favorite shotgun. Those was everyone flooded by 3 people. It were that marsh. You I understand. It were terrible wet summer, and places securely on other years suddenly appear, without any time warning, and their bodies was always only discover. It hears awful the part. Voice lose its self-confident consciousness, and become that person disintegration. A poor ant always think himself will enter backward individual daybreak, and those will only to lost, that small brown puppy to usual to the to window. This way there are windows remain open each night. To I poor ant often tells my with a method, those come outward wearing that whiteness waterproof jacket in woman of husband hand and woman of youngest brother Ronnie sings. Bertie, why am you are a limited? Only to herself always provokes woman of due to herself, say it were nervous. You are I understand this sometimes, on that quiet night. Myself almost felt that terrible feeling. Dosel went with the on to window. Herself that bite shaky. What time woman of aunt were busy the on room. Frampton apologized of woman of delay on justification. Do myself hope Vera is constantly teasing you are? Herself say. She were very interested, say Flampton. I hope you are a will don't the mind opened window, Mrs. Shipton say sadden. My husband and brothers take leave home, the originate shooting. Those take always enter their own same way. So they those the attack marshlands and create the poor disaster appreciation that man's for your poor carpet. Will don't you are? Himself what happened to the photograph shooting. The end half empty off for birds, the end perspective for winter duck. Of Frampton that everyone terrible. Himself participate on that desperate, prevent only partially successful. Effort to the change conversation onto the less terrible subject, and realize This he is a mistress pay himself little attentive. Went with side by side the two opened window the behind lawn. It were an unfortunate accident. This herself should visit the tragic anniversary. Flampton say, the doctor agreed to let my rested complexity without mental simulation into the avoidance nature for any time violent physical exercise. Say Flampton, working hard under the tolerable universal illusion. That means this everyone aliens and occasional acquaintances am upon least willing to have details for disease and human disease, their cause and treatment. As the of diet, those am don't too consistent, himself continue. Not? Mrs. Sapperton, the upon lasted minutes say herself only the replaced voice the for yarn, then suddenly concentrated. Prevent, don't flamingo.